Hello and welcome to
As If, reclaiming the chick flick.
What? Like it's hard?
I'm Una.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Emma Joe.
And I'm excited.
Yay!
And this is our first official episode. So welcome. We're very excited.
I'm so stoked. This is so great. We have like such a great movie to review and so much to say. We've been keeping it to ourselves, which is very rare for us. So I'm really excited to talk about it.
I have so much to say.
Right?
So I'm sure you all listened to our amazing trailer episode, but if you didn't, now's the time to tell you that this week we will be talking about Legally Blonde.
Yup. The one, the only, Miss
From
Elwood.
2001, I believe.
Is it 2001? Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I thought it was 04 just because so much came out in 04.
I thought so too. But it's because she graduates in 04.
You're
spoiler
so
alert.
right. Oh, yeah. She graduates.
Actually, you should have all watched the movie beforehand, so I hope we didn't spoil anything.
Listening to a podcast about Legally Blonde without having seen Legally Blonde would be like quite the move.
Chaotic behavior.
Not having seen Legally Blonde would be quite the move.
Yeah, like that alone. And then listening to a podcast about it cold. No knowledge.
So I hope you've seen it.
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't, should we maybe do a little bit of a synopsis, or if anybody's not seen it in a while?
Yeah, I think Kelly would be best equipped to give this synopsis.
Oh my God,
personally.
thank you so much. Okay. So, Legally Blonde is a 2001 film about a woman who loses everything. Okay, no, just to be real. Okay, so it's about a woman named Elle Woods. She is like a blonde sorority girl from California. She's just finishing up her undergrad at, I believe, UCLA. She's like a fashion major. And
Fashion
at the start of the film, fashion merchandising. She has a 4.0. And at the start of the movie, we find Elle in a moment where she's predicting that she is being proposed to by her longtime boyfriend, Warner Huntington III. And much to her dismay, this does not occur. He does not propose. In fact, he breaks up with her. And that really shakes her world because she just wants to she just wants to wife it up. But that doesn't happen. So, she finds out he's leaving because he wants to go be a serious law student at Harvard. And she's like, okay, well, I'm going to do the same thing. So she goes to Harvard Law to follow him there. And, in that process, she finds out that she actually does have quite the passion for law. And she makes friends and she expands her horizons and her own capabilities. And she just takes law school by storm alongside her precious chihuahua Bruiser. And she finds new love in the process that is much better. And she finds herself and she finds her career and she wins.
I want to cry already.
We love Elwood.
And Bruiser wears a tie.
More to come on that later.
What more could you ask for, honestly, in a movie? Like,
what? Oh, and she wears like pink the whole time.
Yeah, not the whole time, but like most of the time.
It doesn't make sense too.
Whenever she is like the most herself, she's wearing pink.
Exactly.
So true. I want to talk about that. There's so many things to talk about.
Oh my God, guys, this is going to be the best. Like, so juicy. I would like to just, for credit where it's due, tell everybody who worked on this film.
Yes.
So it was directed by Robert Luketic. Sorry if his name is pronounced wrong. He has directed other amazing chick flicks such as The Ugly Truth, Killers, and 2 episodes of Jane the Virgin.
Oh my God.
It is actually based off a book by Amanda Brown, which I actually didn't know Legally Blonde was based off a book. I'm sure Kelly knew.
I did. Did you know that it's a true story?
It is?
It's her life.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I just learned that. I was just Googling it right before this.
Nobody can see, but my jaw just dropped.
Maybe I thought.
Yeah, somebody lived this story?
Okay, she lived it, Amanda Brown. And well, she went to Stanford, not Harvard, but it's the same.
I'm gonna cry. Like, can you see?
She's got tears, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait, though, because she was like sending it out to publishing houses, right? And she hand wrote it with a pink fuzzy pen on pink paper, and that's what got it noted for the publishing house. Yes.
Are you kidding?
They were like, it's pink paper, so they picked it up, and they were like, that's what got her noticed. Una is
I'm not kidding.
on
An
this Zoom
inspiration.
having a cry.
Oh my god.
Because it's such an inspiring movie.
I can't believe I could do anything I set my mind to.
She did it. I didn't know that till today.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. She has one single tear dripping down the side of her nose.
It's
I
perfect.
just am so inspired.
Much like Elle Woods when she gets stumped by.
Wow.
Really good tear there.
Yeah. Anyway, continuing on with our list. So the screenplay is by Karen McCullough and Kristen Smith.
Yes.
And they are actually kind of a dynamic duo. They've worked on amazing movies such as House Bunny, She's the Man, Ella Enchanted, 10 Things I Hate About You, and The Ugly Truth with the director of this movie.
Wow. Can I just say, like, literally 3 of some of my all-time favorite movies? 10 Things I Hate About You, She's the Man is probably my number 2, and Legally Blonde. Like, and House Bunny's great too. I mean, they're all great, but like,
House Bunny's
how did they do that?
They
And
are
also Shakespeare
amazing.
nerds, clearly, because 10
Mhm.
Things I Hate About You and She's the Man, which we'll get to in later episodes. But like, they clearly love Shakespeare, which, also, if you're listening to this and you don't know us personally, we all hold BFAs in theater.
We hold them.
So yeah.
Really good to know, actually. They should know
Good
that.
to know. So that really warms my heart. I love those 2 ladies.
The
Wow.
Ugly Truth I won't talk about this much now, but it's an interesting departure from Legally Blonde to me and the rest of those movies.
Very
Stylistically.
true.
I don't think I've seen that movie, so I can't comment.
Really?
But it feels like it just from the vibe.
I've seen it a lot of times for some reason. It's not that good.
The antithesis of Legally Blonde.
It really is. Yeah.
Kind of.
Wow.
So I would also like to note that as a part of my BFA, I took a lot of design classes. So I might be bringing that perspective a little bit to this PCast. And speaking of design, the costume designer, absolute legend, Sophie Durakoff, she worked with Reese Witherspoon a lot on Sweet Home Alabama, Just Like Heaven, This Means War, and my personal favorite, Fever Pitch, starring Jimmy Fallon. Great movie. I think we should add it to our list. And the production design was done by Missy Stewart, who also worked on The Ugly Truth, House Bunny, Killers, and Good Will Hunting. And not that you guys don't know this already, but it's starring Reese Witherspoon, Luke Wilson, Selma Blair, Matthew Davis, Jennifer Coolidge, and many other legends.
Yep.
Legendary cast, truly.
I have 2 more fun facts to share real quick.
Do it, please.
Okay, so the role of Elle, almost, maybe you guys know this, did not go to Reese Witherspoon. It was originally offered to Christina Applegate, and she turned it down.
Oh my god! And isn't that funny that those 2 play sisters on Friends?
It is funny.
Oh,
Jennifer Aniston.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. Yeah. So that's very interesting. And then also, the role of Vivian almost did not go to Selma Blair. It originally went to Chloe Sevigny, who turned it down. She is an indie film darling. Also in she had a stint on the Mindy Project as Danny's ex-wife. But she's really known for like a lot of indie films. So maybe
it went to Selma Blair, so.
Yeah, so it ultimately went to Selma Blair. And it also, which is fun because Reese Witherspoon and Selma Blair were already friends because they worked on Cruel Intentions together.
Yes, they did.
Oh,
I actually have never seen that movie, but I am interested in it.
Oh, we should add it to the list. It's so
too.
good. I saw it like last year for the first time.
Would you say it's a chick flick?
Yeah.
Well, then let's watch it.
Isn't
I'd
it
love
kind of
to.
like dark and like glossy, and there's some like incest, maybe?
Yes, there is. Have you seen Not Another Teen Movie?
Yes.
So
No.
a lot of that is based in Cruel Intentions.
Oh.
Like the whole brother thing with that girl and like
Hey.
yes.
Clueless vibes as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Hence the title of this podcast. It all just comes together.
It's so
Crazy.
Those are my fun
As
facts.
is.
Those are fun facts. I actually I really didn't know about Christina Applegate. I think she would have done a great job, but ultimately Reese is our L, and
Absolutely.
I stand by that.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm just so excited to dig into this. And I think this is a really good time to talk about like the nostalgic value of this movie, because I think this movie is one of those movies that like, I feel like I came out of the womb just knowing it. I don't know when I watched it for the first time. I don't have any idea of that, but I just know, I feel like I've always known it.
I feel like this movie I know, and a lot of similar movies and movies of this time I watched with my mother because she was a very young woman when this came out. Like she had me when she was 21, and this movie came out 3 years after we were born, Emma Joe.
Right.
Kelly's old, so it's different for her.
I'm 35 today.
35.
Happy birthday. We forgot to wish you happy birthday.
I don't know why you guys just were like, let's do a podcast and not do a birthday
Yeah.
ring, but
I mean, I thought
Taurus
this was a
queen.
present.
I thought this was a surprise, actually. I'm listening to like this.
Podcast. Happy birthday.
Kelly is not a Taurus. This is a joke. I would just like to put that out there.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
Nothing against Taurans.
She's
But,
Sagittarius, okay.
but yeah, so my mom and I, like, I feel like because these are movies that like people her age would have watched at that time, she watched them with me. So I was exposed to them really young. And I think I watched this movie probably like when it came out for the first time. Like I was probably really small. And then just kept rewatching it. I feel like I rewatch this movie like at least once a year.
Yeah. It's a frequent rewatch for me.
Yeah. Me too.
Good.
I've seen it so many times.
Yeah, Kel is the queen of this movie.
Oh my God, thank you.
Welcome.
Seen it a lot.
Now, if we were to like, we've discussed on our own our nostalgia meter of like 1 being, this movie is great, not even including nostalgia, and 10 being like this 100% is only good because I'm nostalgic about it. Where would you put this on there?
I say it's a 1.
Oh, okay.
I say it's impossible.
I agree. I also agree. I think it's a 1. I think if I watched this movie for the first time today and I didn't know anything about it, I would enjoy the hell out of it.
Absolutely.
Same.
And what's kind of interesting, and I was thinking this as we were watching it, which, by the way, the 3 of us watched this 2 days ago on Teleparty because I live in a different place than they live. And I was thinking while we were watching this that the fashion of that era has really come full circle, where like I think watching it at any point in my life, I would have been like, oh, these outfits are amazing, like the fashion is wonderful, the aesthetic is wonderful. But like you think about like, I don't know, 2013, 14, 15 Tumblr era, like I feel like that wasn't really the style. It was a lot more like simplistic minimalism. Even now minimalism's kind of in, but then now we're getting this resurgence of like the bright colors, the patterns, the mixing. And I feel like now pretty much everything Elle was wearing in the movie, you could wear today and it would be considered like very fashion forward.
Oh yeah. Well, they say it's like the 20-year fashion cycle, I think.
Yes.
So like, like the 90s
literally
were really
exactly 20 years.
Exactly. So like the 90s were really big like in the last 10 years, and now like the Y2K stuff is like super in. And then eventually it'll be like 2010 stuff, which is horrifying.
Ew, no.
No, thank you.
Nobody wants
like,
that.
like the 80s had a resurgence, like everything. Like I think it's like they call it in like fashion school.
No, I think you're right. Yeah.
I don't know.
I it's actually the 30-year.
Oh, it's 30 year.
I hate to fact check.
Really
oh my God, no,
this is what we just
said. But no, it's 100% true. Yeah, it's that cycle.
Wow,
it's just early.
It's early.
Well, I guess this came out in 2001, so I would group it into probably 90s fashion. But no, it's the very beginning of the very timeless as well, though. Like a lot of what she wears, especially like her like more when she starts becoming more businessy.
Yeah, her more serious lawyer.
Yeah, like those looks are super
timeless.
Absolutely. And like even like beyond just Elle's outfits, like Vivian's outfits and like the people she hangs out with in the movie are very timeless in like a certain like classic kind of way. Like I remember watching it, one of the notes I made was like Jackie O wannabes.
Well, and they say that, like, I mean, that's what Warner says. He says, I'm looking for a Jackie, not a Marilyn. Like, because Elle was his Marilyn because she's the blonde bombshell. And then he ends up for a while with Vivian, who is like the Jackie. But like, they're both beautiful and iconic and stylish in their own ways. They're just different.
You know what's kind of crazy about that is like, not that we're, this not to talk about the sequel, but like the iconic look from the sequel is her recreating the Jackie like JFK assassination look.
Oh my god.
Like her like outfit on the poster of that movie. is
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
That's
what does
so
that say about
true.
her character development that she kind of does become the Jackie, I guess.
But she still keeps it like
Keeps it
her.
out.
Like, it's just like mixing the two, making it her own.
I love her.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't know about the like Jackie Kennedy, the dress. I didn't know about like the blood on the dress till I watched The Crown.
Oh.
And then like they recreated the scene where she's like, she jumps off that like thing at the airport or whatever. And she's like wearing her dress covered in blood. I didn't know about that.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
I would highly recommend the movie Jackie.
Yeah, okay.
Not if you don't like blood though, because there's a lot of it in that.
Blood. Blood in the water.
As we're already talking about fashion, like I've got a lot to say about
Oh my god,
fashion.
go, tell us what you think.
Well, I would first like to shout out like a lot of what I have to say is already covered in this amazing video I watched a couple weeks ago by Modern Girls on YouTube. And she analyzes the costume of like every major character in the movie. And it's such a good video. I think we should tweet out the link.
I would love to watch it myself.
Yeah, it's like it really goes into like even like the brand that they're all wearing and like the character, how they show character development. Like the costume design of this film is impeccable. It's super good. And even like the production design, like there's things that I have never noticed, like the fluffy tissue box, like pink fluffy tissue box
Matches the
Okay,
phone.
again, isn't it kind of interesting that like the decorative tissue boxes are even making a comeback right now?
I literally bought supplies to make a decorative tissue.
Like,
You did. That's so true.
like I feel like that's something I've just seen like recently on like TikTok and stuff. Just like very recently. Like who the fuck gave a shit about tissue boxes until like now? Apparently Elle Woods did in 2001.
It's the fashion cycle.
And it matched her landline.
Yeah. And then the fucking like receiver was even fluffy. I'm like, where does the phone even go? I don't even know.
Who cares? It's fluffy and pink.
One thing that I think was like, or not, you know, there's a lot of things that I think have like went on to influence like fashion from this movie. And I think one of them is the Tiffany open heart necklace. Obviously, that was already huge, but I think it became even bigger because Elle wears it like several times throughout this movie. And it's a staple of early 2000s fashion accessories.
That's so true.
Right? And then on the other hand, Vivian is always in the poils.
She's
always in the poils.
She's in the poils.
Which
And I
are
love
also
that.
making a freaking comeback.
They're totally making a comeback.
Emma Joe made us like fake pearl necklaces.
Don't tell them they're fake.
I don't know why I said that. It was a joke. It was an accident.
Real pearl necklaces.
Instagram, please comment. I love your real pearl necklaces.
I didn't get one in the mail. That's so strange.
It's coming. Well,
probably could make you one.
you know what? Here's the thing, Una, is that like it's hard to ship real pearls because have you heard of mail theft?
Yeah.
Basically,
No.
all postal drivers they rifle through every envelope feeling for pearls, and if they
It's really
get
common.
even a hint of a pearl, they will take it. So you might have gotten an empty
A hint
envelope,
of a
or you
pearl.
might have gotten nothing. But it's always pearls.
That's so true. You know, I have been getting like a lot of empty envelopes lately that have my name written on them, and a return address in Toronto, but nothing inside. So maybe that's what's happening.
Probably.
Envelopes are the clams of the mail.
So true, bestie.
I was just gonna repeat the joke. That's so stupid. I would also really like to point out something I noticed in this viewing, which is that Margot gives Elle her lucky silver scrunchie, which has, like a lot of like I think that would hurt my hair first of all, and it never appears again. And I think that's a real missed opportunity.
I agree. I was watching for it the whole time too.
And it never returned. And I think it would have been great for it to return
Like
in a pivotal moment.
It would have been perfect if she was like writing her LSATs and on her wrist there was a scrunchie or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, costume designer that I need to scroll up to read the name of.
Sophie something?
Sophie something.
Do you think it's in the second one? Because at the start there's that scene where they go through the scrapbook.
Oh,
And I'm wondering
I
if
wonder.
I could see that, but I'm not sure. If you know, comment below. Let us know if the silver scrunchie appears in the second movie or if it appears in the first movie and we missed it.
We would love to know, because I think that's the most important takeaway of this viewing is the silver scrunchie. The final like big note I took about like fashion in this movie is I just can't believe how different makeup application is from now.
Literally,
then.
in the opening sequence, she uses like a blush that has like the little brush in the compact. And it's the nastiest little like tiniest little flat fucking thing that you just swipe across your cheek in one motion and it leaves a stripe on your face, and it made me cringe. That opening sequence is golden. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, and yet that thing, that one little bit with the blush made me want to vomit.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
Everyone's wearing like frosty blue eyeshadow
with the little like applicators that are like little sponge,
the double-ended sponge.
Oh, yeah.
So bad.
Shit.
That is loud.
We did notice some butterfly clips.
Yes.
I believe, who wears it?
Probably Margot was wearing them.
I think Margot, yeah.
I don't remember.
I think it was, maybe it was Serena. I think it was Serena.
Yeah.
Serena's the brunette, Margot's the blonde, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I think it was Serena.
Now, does anyone know, like, Margot, is she in anything else? Because she looks familiar.
I don't know.
She does look familiar.
Oh, she might be in White Chicks, actually.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, this is just, since we're speaking about them, Margot and Serena, does anybody else find it appalling that Margot doesn't tell Elle she's engaged until she's fucking wedding dress shopping?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yes.
I didn't even think about that.
I'm pretty sure Elle called, did she? Did Elle call them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, would she have mentioned anything if Elle hadn't called?
I don't know.
That makes me mad.
I agree. That's really weird. If one of you guys was like also with the other friends trying on wedding dresses and I didn't even know about it, and you're at that stage, please.
Friendship over.
I think it was just for the shot, if I'm being honest.
For sure.
And to be fair, a man directed this movie.
Yes.
Which is strange to me. Still very well done. Don't get me wrong. Maybe that was where some of his insight was lacking, because any of us know that, like, you wouldn't be wedding dress shopping already without having told your best friends that you're getting married. Like, that's not the timeline.
God, no.
Yeah.
True.
If anyone elopes, I'm mad.
Yeah, I would not be pleased.
Guys, I have a secret.
Can you
have a ring on?
Yeah.
I can't believe this.
My dad gave it to me.
Oh, wow. I'm just so, like, what a beautiful film to watch.
It's so good, and it's so iconic. Like, it's been referenced, replicated, talked about
many times
in pop culture and media. Like, still, I feel like Legally Blonde, everyone liked it, and then I feel like it got a resurgence on like Twitter and stuff a few years ago, where people really started talking about like Elle Woods a lot, and then it had like, yeah, I feel like a lot of films like this, like they have their second moment where everyone's like re-obsessed, and I feel like that happened with this movie.
Definitely.
I feel like people definitely like associated, like, if you were a woman that got into law school, I feel like people would kind of compare, like, I feel like there's specific situations where it lasted forever, but then you're right, like that resurgence in general pop culture was pretty recently, and I think maybe one of the biggest either responses or causes was Ariana Grande's Thank You Next.
Oh my God, I didn't even like consider that in this whole discussion of like its relevance. I didn't even consider Thank You Next, which is ridiculous of me.
Yeah, Thank You Next, that was big. And we had
side note, the night that Thank You Next was released, Kelly and I were roommates at the time, and we were throwing a party, and we listened to that song for 2.5 hours on repeat, until one of our party guests begged us to change it, because we'd been listening to one song on repeat for 2.5 hours and forcing everybody in our home to do this. So we love Ariana Grande.
We're selfish people at the end of the day. No, but it's been like, yeah, like Thank You Next video, huge references to a few rom-coms, not even rom-coms, chick flicks, particularly Legally Blonde. And then, you know, we had moments like Kim Kardashian recreated the Harvard video, the, you know, what's it called? Application video for
Yeah,
I think it was
the
Halloween a couple years ago. Yeah, because she, she's going to law
I
school.
don't think I saw that.
Oh, she does like the whole like recreation. She's in the pool and she does the whole. You should watch it after. It's great.
Wow, I would love to watch that.
Yeah. Those are like the two main things I can think of, but
Is there anything,
Oh,
any big quotes or anything that stick out in your head or anything like that? Or what were you gonna say, Una?
nothing. Don't worry about it.
Oh.
Yes. Our tagline. Hi.
Mhm.
What?
What? Like it's hard.
Hard? 100% a big one.
Yep.
I also noticed in this viewing that when she is in the video, in her application video, she goes, I object to being catcalled. And I turned to her and said, oh my God, it's the as if moment of this movie.
Yep.
True. Like literally, like the shot is the same as in Clueless. Like I guarantee that was on purpose.
Oh, probably.
And if it wasn't, what a coincidence.
Hire us.
So true. I don't think I ever really put that together, but now that I'm seeing them both in my head side by side, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
And homage, you could say.
I wrote down one quote that was, and I don't even remember what part of the movie it's in, but I don't know. Somebody said, "Can't you just take a Percocet?" Who was that? In response to what?
I don't remember that.
Oh, I think was it like maybe Margot or Serena in response to Elle, like going to Harvard instead of just.
You're right.
Yeah, just getting over the breakup, taking a Percocet.
Yeah, I wrote down like because there's so many like really iconic big ones from Legally Blonde that I found myself just writing down like random ones that I had never thought about before. Like there's that scene Margot and Serena are like walking through the hall and they're like, I have a high metabolism. Metabolism. She's like, it's metabolism.
Or one that I had never really paid attention to was like, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name right now. It's written down somewhere, but like the feminist lesbian woman. She's talking of Enid. She's talking about semesters. She said we should start calling them O-vesters.
Oh yeah,
and that really tickled my funny bone this time.
I think this one's a pretty popular one from Paulette. What's this Vivian got that you don't have? 3 tits?
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Amazing.
So good.
I also know one that kind of made my heart feel nice. Which was Emmett. He says, what if you're trying to be somebody you are?
That's nice.
And that made me feel really good.
That's really nice. That's really nice. And that's
really nice.
So supportive of her narrative in the movie.
Right? Like that could almost be somebody like this lesson that we're seeking.
I wrote down, am I on glue?
Me too. Happy people just don't shoot their husbands. Duh. Well, the whole monologue, but the ending line. Okay, here's one that I noticed. I don't remember who she says it to, but Elle says to somebody, you look so orange, maybe Paulette. And earlier she says, whoever said orange is the new pink was seriously disturbed.
Dude.
We have so much with the color orange.
And oh my God.
Crazy about orange happening in the movie.
Because that was like, obviously the, like, whoever said orange is the new pink was seriously disturbed is a very iconic quote. I feel like that, like their little intro circle when she first gets to Harvard, where you see Enid, you say, like, you see all of them, is pretty, like, that little scene's pretty iconic. But then I noticed that other quote about orange and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. And there's a lot of orange.
Tell me more.
Well, can I just say one quote real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, this is one that's not important, but it lives in my mind rent free. And it's Vivian saying, it'll be a really nice party.
Oh yeah.
Who describes a party as a really nice?
I just who's like nice. Trying to trick somebody. But
yeah.
Doesn't she say it? Does she say it to the other guys too when Elle's overhearing her?
Yeah. She says, yeah, but she doesn't know Elle's like, yeah. She just goes like, it'll be a really nice party. Nice.
You know what that sounds like?
It's weird.
It sounds like something Trump would say.
Yeah, it does.
True. Like, it doesn't really sound right.
Not a claim of any sort.
One more quote, because it's very important. And
then we'll get to orange.
When I dress up as a frigid bitch, I try not to look so constipated.
Iconic.
And that to me is just kidding. That's all I have to say about it.
That to me is just kidding.
That to me is a quote from the movie.
Compare it to something else. And then my mind forgot it, but it's a great quote.
Oh my God.
There's so anyway, back to the color orange.
Time for girl like how orange you fucking look. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly think me and Emma Jo talked about this a little bit. Like, I think we're grasping at straws with the orange thing.
With the orange jumpsuit. That's what it is. She says to Brooke, you look so orange.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I
She's
wrote that
wearing an
down.
orange fucking jumpsuit, and that is anti-fashion.
I feel like,
Yeah, but then
you know what? Here's my interpretation of the orange, actually, because so the time when Kelly and I verbalized out loud that we noticed the orange thing was I noticed that Elle was using an orange highlighter instead of a pink one. And I was like, that's absurd. And then the next scene was the scene where they go to visit like the man who was murdered's ex-wife, and her whole home decor is orange. There's orange lighting, the walls were orange. And
Wait.
I wonder,
isn't that a spa?
Yeah, isn't she at a spa?
or yeah, she's at a spa. But anyways, it was all orange.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what if orange is kind of just symbolic of like a different type of woman than Elle is? Like, because she's really portrayed as the blonde bombshell, ditzy, hyper feminine, and you know, she kind of puts down orange is so out. Like, whoever said that, but maybe orange is just representative of a different type of woman. I mean, could be grasping at straws.
No, but I feel like the more we talk about this, the more I'm like, everything has a purpose in design, and people don't just include colors and things for no reason. And like, even her dorm room at Harvard is like an orange sunset-y wall.
Yeah.
And her laptop is orange. She
Yeah.
does.
So
I think it's almost like a different way of like expressing. Okay, now maybe we're really grasping at straws, but like it feels like it, like as she matures, like maybe throughout the movie as she matures, she realizes that like orange isn't so bad. I don't know. Like, you know,
maybe it could be a symbol of like this growth that she's experiencing,
Yes.
or like the fact that her highlighter is orange and her computer is orange, which is also something interesting that like a part of this movie was that she didn't have a laptop and then she got a laptop, because that's like totally, if this movie was made now, that wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, she'd for sure have a laptop.
She'd for sure have a laptop.
It'd be a bigger move for her to buy a notebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that was, but yeah, like those are both tools. These orange things that she has are tools to help her on her journey. And like, maybe that's like they symbolize like her knowledge. I don't know. We could be grasping at straws, but design is very subjective. And
there's something about orange in there for sure.
I think so.
For sure.
And like, really, this was the first time I noticed it. Like, I had noticed that quote before, but I never noticed like even the like Brooke's jumpsuit, like fucking being in prison, orange is that color. And like, yeah, I never noticed that like thread throughout the movie before.
Yeah.
I wonder what other threads we've
so
missed.
smart.
I don't know.
One last like big cultural thing that I picked up on, and I honestly think that I'm crazy and I don't think I'm right, but I still think it's worth noting. When I think it's like after Elle's already been to Harvard, and her BFFs come and talk to her. I don't know. Somehow they see her. I don't remember exactly what the situation is, but Serena says, "I got bangs."
Oh yeah.
And the first thing I thought was, "Oh my God, is the publicity sketch I Got Bangs, Nick Kroll and Jenny Slate? Is that a reference to Legally Blonde?" Probably not, but imagine if it was.
Yeah, it's great either way.
It's such a throwaway line, but I like to think that has cultural impact.
I think that was when they were on the phone and Margot was because like that was Margot's big thing. She's like, I'm getting married. And Serena's big thing is, I got bangs.
Yeah,
bangs.
Exactly.
I love that.
Amazing.
I found a quote from Karen McCullough, whatever. She wrote the screenplay, I think. Okay, so I found a quote from her because they had a different ending originally in the movie.
Oh.
Yeah, I found out a lot of fun facts. And they changed it. So the original ending, I'm just going to read her quote because I actually think the whole thing is like so good for our podcast. Okay, so per Marie Claire at the 2015 Vulture Festival, McCullough shared that the film originally ended at the courthouse right after Elle won the case, with her and Luke Wilson's character, Emmett, sharing a grand kiss on the steps. It then cut to Elle with Vivian starting their own blonde legal defense club at Harvard. And then she said, "It was just kind of a weak ending. The kiss didn't feel right because it's not a rom-com. It wasn't about their relationship. So test audiences were saying, we want to see what happens. We want to see her succeed. So that's why we rewrote for graduation."
Oh
Oh
wow.
my God.
And that's so true because
Una is
it's
at
not a
3 cry
rom-com.
count. If you wanted to know, she's a
Oh
Cancer.
my god.
I was gonna say, I sometimes really like, I love being a Cancer, but I don't always like 100% identify with being like with it. Right now, I do.
Right now I'm crying for the third time.
Cried 3rd time in this podcast.
About it, about Legally Blonde.
Yeah, it's cool though. And that's so
Wow.
like, when making this podcast, we were discussing it originally being about rom-coms. And then we kind of like branched out from that and we were like, okay, well, not all of these are actually rom-coms. And sometimes they're just called that. And they're really like chick flicks, which is still kind of like an annoying term, but it's not the worst. And as we know, we're reclaiming it. But it's interesting to see like a film that some people probably would call a rom-com explicitly be like, this is not a rom-com. Yes, it has a love story, but that does not make it a rom-com. This is
Yeah.
like a movie about her empowerment and her journey.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the least important part of this movie. Like I love the romantic subplot, but that's exactly what it is. It's completely a subplot.
Yeah.
It's like third most important.
Well, and it's so interesting because the movie starts with her romance being the plot. Her
Yeah.
and Warner's relationship is the event. Like, that's what we're waiting to see what happens right off the top. And then like the whole opening sequence is like them bringing a card to her to wish her luck on the night that she thinks she's going to get engaged to this man and then doesn't. And then that relationship failing is what sends her into what ultimately ends up being the best decision for her and like the best path that she could possibly go down. And along the way, she meets a really great man who like totally is the opposite of Warner and gives her everything that she wasn't getting from Warner. But she also, like, even if Emmett wasn't there, like, her story would still be so interesting and so inspiring because she did it all herself, and she was okay at the end whether she had a man by her side or not. And that is like, that's the best part of it. Like,
Yeah. And I'm just realizing now like how subtle the shift is from like her realizing that it's not about Warner anymore. Like it kind of just happens in front of us and you kind of all of a sudden are like, oh, this story isn't about him anymore. Like obviously there's the moment where like he really like she like realizes and he's like kind of cruel to her and is like, oh, you shouldn't be here. But I think like a lot of other movies would write that in a different way where there's like a getting over him part.
there's
But
always like a montage or something, like, yeah. And that I think that's really I'm gonna get emotional again. That's really representative of, oh my god.
oh my god.
Of real life.
Yeah, you're right, baby. You know it. Oh my gosh.
I'm so ashamed of myself.
No, don't be ashamed.
She's amazing.
No, but it's like, okay, I went through a breakup a long time ago, a year and a bit ago, and I'm still getting over it, obviously. But like, I've been looking back at my progress since that happened lately, and like, I'm a lot farther along than I was at the beginning, and it's like, you kind of forget that because it happens so slowly and so subtly, and like, this movie shows that. And like, by the end of it, she like, when he comes back and asks her to take him back, she's just like, it's a no-brainer. Obviously, no, you're not a part of my life anymore and I don't need you anymore because look at where I am. But like, there was no one specific moment that she could have necessarily said that. Like it just happened, like you said, it happened right in front of us. It happened right in front of her without even like really noticing it.
To me, when I watch this movie, there's 4 moments that I think of in Elle's getting over Warner. And the first one is when they're at the party where she's in like the Playboy bunny outfit. And she's like, let's get back together. And he's like, no, like you're not smart. And she's like, didn't I get in the same place? And she stands back and she's like,
Yeah.
I'm never going to be good enough for you, am I?
Oh,
And
true.
that's like her first moment of realizing this isn't going to work. And then her second one is when she gets the internship and she like walks up to him and Vivian and she's like
4 hours in the hot tub.
4 hours in the hot tub. She's like, this is way better than that. And she's like, okay, there's other possibilities. The third one is when they're in one of like it's the meeting after Elle went to see Brooke and she gets the alibi and she's like, I'm not gonna share what she said. And Warner turns to her and he's like, just tell them. And she like looks at him and she's like, I gave her my word. And she like really sees him in that moment for who she is. And you really like see her realize what kind of person he actually is outside of the relationship.
How different their like morals are.
Yeah. And then the last one is at the very end when she has the success and he wants her again. And she's like, no, if I'm gonna XYZ, whatever she says, I need a boyfriend who's not such a complete bonehead. I think that's what she says.
Yeah. I'm gonna make partner at a law firm by the time I'm 30.
Yes. Yeah. And I think those moments are like such a progression of like, it's not one thing when you get over someone. Like those are four separate events that like take her through a journey in in an hour and a half or whatever, however long the film is. You see her go from like, oh, this isn't gonna work. Oh, this isn't gonna work. What kind of person are you? Bye.
Like, yeah, which is like a really real progression. I think like that reflects reality. Like there's a point where it's over, but you want them back, and you'll do anything to get them back. Such as go to fucking Harvard somehow. There's a point where you want to like kind of shove it back in their face, and maybe their new partner's face of like, oh, do you remember all those good times? Well, fuck you. Like, you know, like with that hot tub line. And yeah, there's a point where you're like, why was I even upset? This person is so clearly not for me. We're so clearly on different pages. And there's a point where maybe they come back and you say, fuck you. Like, yeah. That's really real.
Like that's when the rose-colored glasses are off and you're like, I see this person for who they are and they're not good. And like, I can't believe that this was the person that I chased to the other side of the country. And ultimately that's been a blessing, but you know, it's crazy to think of the reasons initially for doing this.
Oh, wow. On that note, I think we should continue on with like just a bit of the impact.
Yeah.
On the note of the adaptations, sequels, musicals. What do we got here?
So adaptations, I feel like we kind of like in a way touched on with like the Kim Kardashian video and Ariana Grande Thank You Next. I don't know if there's any others we're missing in that area. I feel like those are the big ones.
Yeah, I think that's that. Then there's lots of sequels. We've got Legally Blonde 2, which
Red, White, and Blue.
Us talking about Red, White, and Pink.
Yeah.
If you're interested in us talking about that, let us know, and we could maybe do another episode about it. I also took a look, and there's always been rumors of a third movie, and it's been confirmed.
Yeah,
and it's supposed to be released May 2022. In a year.
And is Mindy Kaling involved?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Is she?
I think she's on it. Because they're really good friends. Her name's Reese.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. A Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah.
There was also Legally Blondes
with those two mysterious twins.
Those British twins.
Yeah, what the fuck happened to them? Were they in like Sweet Life?
They were in Sweet Life with Zach and Cody. Then they're gone. Then
Legally Blondes, and then nothing else ever again.
I feel like I saw some people like maybe on TikTok, someone talk about them and being like,
they're gone.
Here's what happened or something. Like I don't know.
There's a lot of mystery around them.
Where are they?
And then of course there's the musical, which. Oh my god, you guys.
Oh, an iconic musical. 2007. If you notes. Really good, really fun, high energy musical starring at the time Laura Bell Bundy as Elle Woods and Jen Borrell.
I did not know. Well, even though we watched it, Kelly and I watched the musical last summer together. I watched it for the first time. I didn't realize that Laura Bell Bundy is Boats, Becky from How I Met Your Mother.
She sure is.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, she was a country star before everything, and then she went into Broadway.
Oh, she's so good in it too. Like, okay, that is one. Obviously, like I said, we're all BFAs. I'm not a musical theater person personally, but I'm impressed by it all the time. And that show in particular is a one-woman show. Not to discredit anybody else in that show because they're all wonderful, but like she is in pretty much every fucking scene, and she's like insane. Like I don't know how she's not dead. Like I would be dead after one night.
It's insane. Like the energy you have to play Elle Woods every single night, and then the dance, the score, the book is so like the vocals are really high in some areas and really challenging. So much better is sort of like the climactic song where she finds out she's got the internship, and the note at the end of it, she holds it for like a long time. I don't remember what note it is, but it's very high. And I think eventually like they had to take down the note like a few half steps because it was like hurting all of, like the girls' voices so badly to do that, 8 days or 8 shows a week.
Yeah.
But
That's crazy.
And then
God.
they filmed it at some point, like in 2007, I think, or 2008. They did an MTV filming version. So there's like a really good quality filmed version on YouTube. The quality itself, because it was
Is that the one that we watched?
Yeah, like it's good quality for like a bootleg, but it's not a bootleg because like they aired it on TV. But it's like been taken to YouTube and everything 10 years later, whatever. So it's not amazing, but it's a lot better than some other stuff. So I really recommend watching that if you haven't.
Yeah, if you love this movie and you haven't seen the musical, like watch it. It's so much fun. That is like one. I was gonna eventually we'll wrap this up with a wrap up, but I say like this is absolutely one of my favorite movies of all time. Absolutely one of the best chick flicks of all time. The one thing I was like that's kind of missing, that is one of my favorite elements of a lot of some of my favorite movies, is like the musical aspect. It has some great music in it, but there's no like. So it's almost like kind of a nice bonus to have the musical as well. Because I don't think this movie should have been a musical movie. Don't get me wrong. But it's just an element I like in movies. So to have both is like, beautiful.
Oh, nice. Also, was there not an MTV TV show about finding the Elle Woods?
There was.
Which I've never watched, but that's another thing.
Look at
cultural impact of that.
This one movie did.
Yeah.
Like, insane.
It's based off a real woman.
I know.
It's crazy. I also would just like on the musical front, I would just love to highlight I don't know if I'm gonna say her name wrong. I've honestly followed her for years and I still don't know how to say her name. I think it's Orphe. But she played Paulette in the musical. And she is just phenomenal. She has this ballad called Ireland, and it's just incredible. Like she is such a scene stealer. She's so amazing in it. And the guy who plays the UPS guy is her husband in real life. They're actually
crazy.
married, and they were married at the time.
Oh,
that's fun.
I know. And they're both like big successful Broadway stars, and yeah.
When will that be us on stage singing with our big successful Broadway star husbands?
I don't know.
Someday.
Soon. So soon.
On the note of the actual of the movie, non-musical, I would love to talk about Perfect Day. Because it's very, very iconic. And in this viewing,
it starts and ends, bookends. My
I
favorite
never
thing.
really noticed that before.
I know.
And I then was sitting there thinking how much the meaning of the song changes for her and what a perfect day looks like for Elle as an undergrad versus Elle as a graduate of law school. Yeah. Like it's so beautiful.
Fourth time, baby.
5.
We're gonna cry count. Hey everyone, take a shot every time we're gonna cry.
Get drunk on the podcast.
No, but that's so true. Because I feel like I obviously associate that song with this movie. Mm-hmm. One of my that song, you play that in the car with the window down, blast it on your stereo, and you will have a perfect day. I guarantee it. But I've always associated with the opening sequence. And then it played at the end and I was like, oh shit. And bookends are one of my favorite things in art, in theater, in film, in music, everything ever. I don't know. I love a bookend. I love finishing off where you started, but seeing how you've changed since the first time you saw that, basically. Oh, it's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And I would also like to mention that this is the first time I noticed that there was one part that they used 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton as an interlude.
Yes, I think I did notice that.
I don't remember what scene it was, but I was like, oh my God. And then I Googled what songs were in this and they mentioned that.
So iconic early 2000s bop.
Yeah, like obviously we're not going to talk about White Chicks on this podcast because that is objectively not a chick flick, but
well, it's called White Chicks.
It is called White Chicks. So maybe we could. I'm not gonna rule it out. But wow, just like such honestly, like this discussion, this part of this podcast has really shown like how fucking iconic this movie is.
I could honestly, this episode could be 4 hours long, and I think would be interesting the whole time.
I know.
And I think it's already been like over an hour, and I don't even care.
I don't want to stop.
I know. I have so
We
much
still
to
have
say.
so much more to say. Do you think we should? Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think it's pretty obvious how we all feel about the movie, and I think this can reflect here too. But like, do we think that this movie held up well? Did it age well?
Yeah.
I think yes.
I think it's not a perfect movie. But like overall, considering how long ago it was released, it holds up remarkably well compared to a lot of the other ones around that time. Definitely something to point out is like it's pretty much entirely white people, and I think obviously that's not great.
Yeah.
And yeah, like that's a huge thing that like there's not even like any like side characters really.
Where like literally even I was thinking like of her classmates, like barely any of her classmates are people of color. I noted that basically like until like we saw like the judge who was like a Black woman, until then there were rarely even a speaking. I don't even know if there was a speaking role other than like at the salon there were some ladies, but like literally all of any of like this top billing cast, all white people. It's all like either one-liners or completely like what is it? I guess extras.
Oh, even like the whole sorority. Like the whole sorority is white pretty much. I don't even think pretty much. I think that's just accurate.
Yeah.
I think there are maybe one or two women of color in the Bend and Snap scene. Because that's the thing. I was really looking for it because I was like, we know that in the main cast there isn't. So I was trying to see where else in the film was there any other representation, and it's barely there.
Yeah.
And it's
when it is, it can be a little bit like tokenizing, a little bit like stereotypical. Like I can't remember his name, but the
Enrique.
Yeah. When he's on trial, you know, he's for sure a stereotype.
Yeah.
And
then that's like another like kind of a largely one of the only like majorly problematic parts of the movie is his character, because she also outs him in front of a courtroom.
That's true.
And yeah, I guess Emmett technically does, but is the one who like caught it.
Really true.
Right, or like he is outed. And then also like Elle stereotypes him, and like that's how she figures it out, because he knows about shoes, and it's like, you know, stereotypes, whatever. But she does stereotype him, and that's not great. But
I don't think there's any like, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't feel like she ties any negative connotation to that. Like, I don't think she like
definitely not
judges him for being gay, but you're right. Like, he does get outed in the middle of a courtroom. I mean, it's tough because like that situation's like, okay, well,
it was for a murder case, so
it was a huge part of solving a murder case. I mean, this is also all fictional, but obvious. Well, was that part? I bet that part was
probably.
But yeah, that's totally something that I feel like I would never have noticed up until recently. Of like, that he was outed in front of a whole courtroom.
Yeah. And you know what, Emmett? Side note, sort of. Emmett really took a gamble on the fact that he would be in a relationship. He said, and your boyfriend's name is. He could have been single.
True.
He could have been single.
That's so true. I never even thought of that.
Obviously, outing somebody is not acceptable or okay or right, but that moment gives me chills every single time. And your boyfriend's name is Chuck. Thank you.
Well done.
And then Chuck stands up and like,
you bitch.
Like, I get chills every time. Same obviously with Elle's, like when she's gets Chutney to reveal that she murdered her dad. But anyway,
it's such a good scene. But on the note of like any like problematic things, like there's something I appreciate about this movie and the way it's aged is like they don't make any like stupid jokes. Like there's not any, I mean, not that I've recognized anyway, like there's no like stupid transphobic jokes or like a lot of like, they don't like, you know, there's a lesbian character, there's a gay character. They never treat them like, you know, gross or like what they are is bad. Like I don't think in that way it's, you know, held up really well, that it doesn't like treat anything negatively. I think in any it's more so like ignorant of some things.
Yeah, Paulette does pretty much the only like, other than the stereotyping that we've talked about, the only like really like whoa moment for me, Paulette does use the R slur.
Oh yeah, right.
Once. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
not sexually appropriate or okay either. But yeah, that was one
100%.
I noticed. But then I even think like I was thinking about how like Dewey, her ex-husband, lives in a trailer, and I was like, in a way, like that's also kind of stereotypical, like the way he's dressed, and like, but also like Paulette lived in that trailer, and
Mhm.
Elle doesn't judge her for it.
Not at all.
Like Elle doesn't judge Paulette for like her lifestyle or like, you know, the fact
With
that
anyone.
no, like that's one of Elle's best qualities. But you know, like, yeah, I guess I think Dewey is a bit of a stereotype, his character, and I don't know if it's like that they're negatively portraying that lifestyle of like living in a trailer, maybe not having a home or whatever, but or if that's just because he's a shit guy, which he is.
Mhm.
But that was something else I noticed.
Yeah. And I also noted a line where I think Enid accuses Elle of calling her like the D slur, and Elle is like, I would never say that word.
Yeah, she's like,
So
"You
there's
must
like a
have heard
good
it from
like
Vivian."
criticism of like at least we know how morally upright Elle is.
Mhm.
Like she explicitly says, I would never say that.
Yeah. And at
Yeah.
that time, like, I feel like that was pretty ahead of its time. Like,
Yeah. Someone openly is saying like they wouldn't.
yeah. I mean,
I
even
don't
now,
down to that.
people use slurs all the time, obviously, but I feel like it's slightly less okay or less normal or less acceptable. And like in general, I mean, you also have to think that we went to a liberal arts school, and like my family for the most part is very liberal or left, and like I feel like that's like kind of where most of us have like grown up and where we are, so like maybe we have a skewed perception, but in general I feel like that's less acceptable now. But I feel like growing up, when I was in like elementary school and high school even, like it was a lot more common to like not bat an eye if somebody said a slur,
Mhm.
and like people wouldn't call you out on it the way that they do now. I don't know, so like considering this movie was made in 2001 and already she's saying no, I don't use slurs,
Yeah,
that's, I feel like super ahead of its time.
it does.
I agree. Another place like this is, I would just like to say this is not my original thought. I was just like looking into any things that didn't age well in this movie, and I did read this article that kind of also talked about which this is me also acknowledging my privilege because I didn't think of this, but that this movie does not acknowledge Elle's privilege.
I wrote down her
Yeah.
privilege because I was like, damn, this girl, like that one scene where she's like, Daddy, I want to go to Harvard.
Yeah.
Like, she's in her fucking pool in her like sequin bikini, and her rich ma and pa are just being like, okay, darling, we'll send you to Harvard. Like after they've already sent her to fucking UCLA or wherever. Like,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
and she's a gorgeous blonde white woman, like straight white woman, like just, yeah, she's got a lot of privilege in a lot of different areas of her life. And it's something that up until this viewing I hadn't really taken note of. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I mean, like, I completely agree with all that, and like, I think the interesting thing is this movie is like, I think changed a lot of people's perspectives of like it really worked to deconstruct like the blonde bimbo stereotype or whatever, and she obviously faces a lot of sexism, but just the fact that like that's what makes this stuck in 2001 is that's the only struggle, and she never even like considers that it would be harder for anybody else.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah. But I mean, like that was not a conversation that was being had by any white people in that year, right?
I'd like to think that 2021 version of Elwood's would be more aware of her privilege.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But this movie was not made in 2021, and yeah, it's lacking in that area for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Another thing that I would love to talk about is the scene where Callahan comes on to Elle.
Oh yeah.
Because I let me know what you guys think, but I think that scene is actually handled very well. I think that in another movie, that scene could have been a lot more like violent or upsetting or even just more sexual. And I'm really glad that it didn't need to do that. And, you already like, we know the movie says this is a gross thing that he has done to her. But he thankfully, like, we don't have to watch her go through a very traumatizing incident. And I think that's I don't know, I personally think it approaches it in a very good way, but I'm curious to know what you guys think of that.
I agree. I think that's a really good point. It's not gratuitous in nature. And it doesn't make you upset. But it's like just enough that you know where it's going, you know what kind of guy he is, and like the dangers there, and you see her get out okay. You see I mean, like, it's unfortunate that like you see. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's not bad that you see Vivian have that reaction, but like,
yeah,
I was gonna say I love it because I love that she owns up to it completely on her own later. I mean, like, in a way, she does and she doesn't. She does once she learns that wasn't what she thought. Like, thought that Elle was sleeping her way to the top, which is fucking fine if she wanted to do that. Whatever. But like immediately when she learns that she was wrong about the situation, like she says, "Oh my God, I made a huge mistake. I feel terrible."
Yeah.
And I
everyone
thought,
believes her.
And I also I liked that we saw Vivian, like, through the movie you see Vivian change and she and Elle develop a friendship. And then that moment happens afterwards. So you see Vivian make a mistake again, but then Elle doesn't like hold it against her. She forgives her again, like she kind of forgives her again.
Yeah.
And gives her another chance. And I just think that's, now this is totally switching topics, sorry, but like this movie has I think a really great, like, again, this is a whole other ballpark, but the whole women supporting women thing, like I feel like it's a really good example of that.
Yeah.
And of, like, yeah, I don't know. And I feel like Elle teaches Vivian how to like respect women.
Yeah, totally. And it explores like the elements of jealousy that can prevent women from being friends and supporting each other, but then ultimately overcoming that.
Yeah.
And being stronger together. And yeah, and even like Brooke totally supports her. And as soon as she finds out, she's like, okay, well, he's off my legal team, like if he can be.
Yeah.
And
Elle completely believes Brooke and like the loyalty that's there, and like the loyalty in her not sharing her alibi, and like it's reciprocated because they're both doing it.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
It's great.
Wow.
But yeah, back to Callahan, he's a fucking pig.
Yeah,
he sure is.
Well, I mean, I think we kind of covered that. Like, I think, yeah, and I think on the note of Vivian as well as, if we're already talking about her, is in this viewing, I kind of, she's one of those characters that at the time I think, obviously eventually they want you to like her, but I think I sympathize with her a lot more at the beginning. One of the moments that I really noted from her was the second time we see her. Before you even see her face, you see her hand with her ring on his shoulder, and she's really asserting her dominance. And yeah, I just think, like, obviously there's things that she does that I don't think are acceptable, but I think there's also a lot that's like, I understand where she's coming from. Like, she had him first. He broke up with her, started dating Elle, came back to her, and now they're engaged. No wonder. What?
Is that what happened?
Yeah, they dated in
prep school.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you don't know what kind of things Warner has told her about Elle.
Yeah.
Like, there's very often like my crazy ex, but you don't really like dig into what that really is.
True. And I mean, look at Elle. Like, Vivian's beautiful too, obviously, but like Elle makes a fucking entrance, and she's this Malibu Barbie, as she's described, but like she she really is gorgeous. If I was with a man and his ex-girlfriend walked up looking like that, I would be shitting bricks for sure. Because like it's Elle Woods, and I would absolutely be putting my fucking left hand on my man's shoulder with a huge rock on it, trying to claim my territory.
Yeah,
like I don't blame her at all for that. Yeah, she did some shitty things and she was a bit of a bitch at times, but like again, that's kind of something that we can all relate to, I think. I mean, jealousy can get the best of us and we can act unlike ourselves when we're experiencing jealousy. And I think like Elle really like just kind of guides her by showing her like I'm not a threat. I'm like she shows her friendship and she shows her love, and like that kind of helps Vivian learn to be a nice person, like, and get over her jealousy and realize that like, yeah, I don't know, it's just like they help each other.
So good.
There's really good like women supporting women stuff in this film, which is also like, I love how after the Callahan incident, when Elle is so prepared to leave, she's so defeated at that point, and she's like, this is not for me, clearly. And then you see Emmett try to convince her to stay. And I love that that doesn't work. I love that she's convinced to stay after her professor, Holland Taylor.
What's her name in the movie? I was listening for it and I like didn't hear it.
Hold on.
I always forget it.
Please continue your discussion.
So after I just love that like the reason she stays is because of the convincing of like the women in her life. Like she's there with Paulette, she's there with her professor, and that's what motivates her. And then getting a case by like appointed to a case from like her woman client. And all of that is what convinces her to stay, not this love story, not this guy that she's met. Like that's sort of just like it's like a happy accident. Like that's just like a that's just a plus side. It's not a reason for her to okay, like recommit myself to this.
And like that moment where I don't know her professor played by Holland Taylor.
It's Professor Stormwell.
Yes.
Stormwell. Mm-hmm. When she turns around and she says, "You are not going to let a man, like whatever she says, stop you from basically doing what you know you need to do." Like, fuck, and again, this is one of my favorite parts of the whole movie, which comes into play with Vivian too. None of the women who you think are villains at the beginning end up being the villain. None of them are villains at the end. There are no female villains in this movie.
That's so true.
That's
because
crazy.
at the beginning,
except for Chutney.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she murdered somebody, and even then you kind of
she's not a big deal.
Even then we don't know why.
Stormwell, you said her name is? Professor Stormwell?
Yeah, Stormwell.
Yeah, like at the beginning, Elle's first class with her, like she kind of humiliates her in front of everybody, and you kind of like, oh, who's this bitch telling, like, and you can see she judges her too. Like Stormwell judges Elle because she's a seemingly blonde bimbo writing with a fuzzy pink pen in a notebook instead of a laptop and all this. So she passes judgment, but then she comes around to realize that just because Elle looks a certain way doesn't mean that she is a certain way, and looks past that, even in the middle of a nail salon, and tells her to go get hers. And then at the very end, when she introduces her as the valedictorian or whatever, like it's just like such a journey. And like she and Vivian, like, yeah, none of these women that you are supposed to hate at the beginning, you don't actually hate any of them by the end, because they're more complex than that. And it's just like really well written female characters that you rarely see now even. And it's just one of my favorite parts of the whole movie that's the case.
Yeah. Another thing I really like about Professor Stormwell is I noticed, because this has been a discussion a lot like currently of how girls our age say like a lot, and Elle is criticized for that early on in the movie in kind of throwaway line. And I noticed there was that one scene where she's kind of, after she got her laptop, she's been studying, and in Professor Stormwell's class, she answers a question in her own voice and gets it right. And Professor Stormwell like treats her with respect and acknowledges that she got it right and moves right on. And I thought that was really exciting that, like, you know, this movie also just like confirmed that it's like, it doesn't matter how you say it. It matters what knowledge you have. And,
Hmm.
you know, we don't see that often either. That kind of.
Yes, this is another one of my favorite things. Elle and Margot and Serena from the beginning are not stupid. Okay, Margot a little bit, but like they have their moments, but everybody has moments of being dumb or stupid or whatever and making mistakes. But they are so smart in so many ways that you're not picking up on because they're coated in pink and fashion and fluffiness, but they're smart.
All right. Well, I think it's probably good to move on to our quick fire favorites round. So everybody, what is your favorite / most iconic outfit from this movie? Does not have to be Elle, by the way.
Oh,
But it's
but
gonna
But
be.
it probably-
gotta be. I don't know. There's so many good ones.
I know, right?
I like when she's on the field in the sequin bikini.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
really
Oh,
iconic.
that scene is so good because it's just all these men just ogling her, and Warner's like,
Yeah.
I also love the Playboy bunny.
Yeah.
She did that for Halloween.
I think my favorite is her driving suit, the leather driving suit for when she arrives at Harvard.
Oh, so good.
That one's really iconic.
Yeah, that one's really good.
And I would like to give an honorable mention to Margot's red leather look in the final court scene. I've never
That's
noticed
so
it before,
good.
but it's so beautiful.
Agreed.
I really love Elle's first day at Harvard look. The like bluish greenish seems like
With like the hat.
no, she's got glasses on and it's like a sweater set.
Yes.
It's very like feels off brand for her, but works.
Yeah.
I think probably my favorite would be maybe her final courtroom outfit, just because I love that, like you said earlier, she'd been dressing a little bit more conservatively, dressing in like darker colors to try and appear more professional. And then the freaking court case that she wins without even being a real lawyer yet, she's back to her roots and wearing all pink. And I just I love that.
Should we move on to the next one? Yeah. Who is your favorite side character?
I just have a question. When we're talking side character, are we saying like side like Paulette level or like a lot more like rando?
I
was thinking Paulette level.
Well, because that's probably the best one.
Paulette, obviously.
Paulette / Bruiser.
Yeah.
/ Bruiser, yes.
Yeah, shout out to Bruiser.
Oh yeah, Bruiser.
Who is your best guy?
Emmett. I think he's the only good one.
Emmett, and a special shout out to David Kidney.
David. I was gonna say David.
David's
because he mentions when they're doing their little like get to know each other that he dewormed orphans in Somalia.
He's such a good guy.
Yeah.
And I love Elle helping him get the ladies.
I know. And then he
deserves better than them, but
just tall things for her in the library when she can't.
Oh, I think like that scene where she sticks up for him is like, it does not need to be in the movie by any means, but it's so good. I'm glad it's there. Like, I think it's a moment of beautiful character for her.
And it's a moment of her being smart. Again, using what she knows best and applying it. Like, it's a super smart move. She had to think like 3 steps ahead with that one. And it's so smart. But because it's like romance and girlish, like you don't really think about it that way.
So
yeah.
True.
And he, I think, is one of the few people in the movie that we don't really see him judging her very much, which I think really is great. So him, I obviously still love Emmett and I'd put him first, but shout out to David Kidney.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep, agreed.
What about the worst guy? I think this is more difficult.
There are a lot of them. I mean, Callahan.
I think he's like, of the things he does, he's like objectively like
I agree.
does the worst things.
He's really bad. So is Dewey.
Dewey sucks.
Paulette's
And Warner.
And
Warner.
I noted that in my head, I went, he weaponizes honesty with Elle. There's that one scene where he's like, you know, kind of like it seems like he's being really kind. He's like, you're not cut out to be here, but he's really like insulting her and making it look like he's just being a nice, honest guy.
Yeah, he always tries to like kind of play it off as like, I'm just looking out for you, Elle. Like, you're not cut out for this. Like, you're not that smart, honey. Like, in a way that like is very condescending and like, yeah, he's trying to play it off as like, oh, I'm just looking out for you, but really he's being a fucking asshole and undermining her. And yeah.
So messed up.
It is. Something funny about with Dewey, I forgot to say I know that like the scene where they go and get the dog back, I know she's kind of like bullshitting him with like all the legal jargon. But one of the things that I noticed and then I Googled is that common law isn't even legal in Massachusetts.
Really?
It's not a thing.
That's so interesting.
I know. And like some of it like is kind of like, she just throws in like habeas corpus and stuff, which isn't really relevant. But I just thought that part was funny. Like it's just totally not even a thing in that state.
That's really funny.
That's another quote that we kind of forgot about, but I'm taking the dog.
Dumbass.
Oh, so true.
Jennifer Coolidge.
Look like
yeah, there's a lot of bad guys. I'd say Warner is pretty shitty, but doesn't do the same things that Callahan or Dewey do.
Yeah.
Callahan assaults and harasses Elle, and also like is just super misogynistic in the whole movie towards Brooke, towards
Vivian.
Thank you. I wanted to say Veronica. That's not right. Vivian.
Vivian Lodge.
Yeah, it's just like, sends, and Vivian makes note of it. Like he's like, when she talks to Elle, and that's one of the first moments they really bond. Like he never asks Warner to get coffee or food for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and Warner's just kind of a douche.
Yeah, he's like any ex.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know how to do his fucking laundry? No fucking surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Facts. Does anyone have a favorite scene or moment?
I love the opening credits.
Yes. Yeah. Bend and snap.
Yeah, I had that on there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine that I put was when Elle sticks up for David or, flirts with him.
Yeah.
I would like to honorable mention my favorite shot is when Vivian, right after Vivian sees Callahan and Elle's in the elevator, and she opens the door and she's like, I saw you. And then the elevator closes to reveal Elle's reaction in the mirrored door. And I think that was a beautiful shot.
Yeah. It is a good shot. I agree.
Does anyone have a shot that they liked?
I like a lot of them in the opening credits. I just like
so good.
Hair.
The hair.
Yeah.
Something about that scene makes me feel at peace.
Or when they're all getting ready in that room and it's all steamy and they're all like in hair curlers.
Oh,
that is my ideal living situation for the rest of my life.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to live in a big house with women.
Yeah. Absolutely. How many people live in sorority houses? Because there's like at least 50 people who live in that house.
I honestly don't know, because in every movie it looks like there's so many people, but I don't actually think it's like that.
They had like a big dorm room shower, like the bathroom. But I'm like, that doesn't exist in houses.
Is it even a house?
Oh, it was a big mansion.
Yeah,
I guess so. All right, time for Kelly's favorite. Who is the Miss Ma'am of the film?
That bitch.
Brooke Wyndham.
I agree.
Okay, so can we define this again? Because in my mind, I was thinking like the kind of the bitch of the movie, but then you kind of love her.
Yeah.
The thing I guess Brooke can be bitchy in a way, but you the audience never thinks she's a bitch.
Yeah, she's never a villain.
Yeah, I think that was my original intention, but after watching this, I realized not every movie has that woman, but they do usually have maybe an older, sometimes fashionable lady who's but I mean, she is in the context of the movie, not in the context of the viewer. She is a little bit villainized by them, and they kind of think she's guilty for part of it. At least Callahan for sure does, and she's a murder suspect. So there's definitely parts of her that are a little darker, and that's kind of a little bit Miss Mammy to me. But she's so fashionable. Her outfit when she comes to court at the end, she has that deep V with the gold.
So sexy.
So good.
So good.
Yeah. In my mind, I was trying to think, I was like, okay, who comes off as kind of a bitch? And I was like, obviously Vivian. And then I was like, Professor Stromwell. But then that's what got me thinking that none of the women are villains. So I was like, oh, who? But I agree with Brooke. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so good.
It's hard to define it fully. If I was going to give a prime example of a Miss Ma'am, it'd be Meredith from The Parent Trap. And I think you could work away from there for every movie.
Yes.
Great.
I guess Chutney is, like we said, she's kind of the only unlikable woman. Her moment with her perm and
Her outfit's just not so good that I'm like,
Linda Cardellini, absolutely stan.
yeah, I stand too.
Okay. All right, let's get into this. We know it's not a rom-com,
Mhm.
but there is a small romantic plot line. What do you think of the meet cute, everyone?
Love it, because she's supposed to be meeting her ex-boyfriend there. She's supposed to be meeting Warner out there, and then she finds like Warner fucking went to heaven and God, I don't know what I'm saying. I don't believe in God. I don't know, but like basically the opposite of Warner in the most best way ever is sitting there waiting for her instead.
True.
I hadn't.
And she's like, you know, huffy.
Yeah, I
and
don't think it's like a meet cute though.
Same, I agree.
Like I think that, but I think that's what I like about it, is that it's because this movie is not like a rom-com, like it doesn't have to be like a bump into him. But what I like is that like immediately we know this guy's probably gonna be her new man's. Like we know who we figure out who he's gonna be, but right away he respects her, and that's
he doesn't
really
judge
great.
her.
He doesn't judge her,
and he also is vulnerable with her. He says that he cried in one of his classes with one of her professors that he's mentioning in that very first meeting, which is like, would Warner ever admit to that? No, most men wouldn't, but he, which is like such a low bar, but you know,
yeah.
he admits, he's like, yeah, they made me cry when I like didn't cry in class, but I went back to my room and cried. Like little things like that, where I'm like, that's what sets them apart. And that happens in their first meeting, which maybe it can't be classified as a meet cute, I guess, but I think it is. I don't know. It's their meet cute.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I like it, but it's, to me, it's not that like cute. Like I feel like a lot of the time when I see a meet cute, I kind of have a feeling of like, ooh, but I don't really get that from this. Like I just am like, oh, that's nice.
But I think it's perfect for what it is, though.
I think so too.
But I would say like if I compare it to like, I don't know, any other rom-com, it wouldn't add up in the same way. Okay, how hot is the love interest, really?
I think I don't know how hot he is. I think he's very attractive, and I think he's very handsome, and he's very intelligent. So he's got a lot going for. I don't like. He's not like this like sexy, like ripped, like ooh, but his personality makes him a lot hotter. I think he's really hot. I would marry that man, absolutely.
Yeah, I wrote that he's hot in a husbandy way.
Oh my God, so true.
He's very handsome.
And I think Warner, not that he's the love interest, but at a time he is. I think he's also attractive, but I think he's 2001 attractive.
I agree. Like the Sex and the City guys.
Yeah.
You're like, I guess they're cute.
Yeah. Like he definitely has like a charming look to him, but she definitely upgrades.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I do think Warner's a honey.
He's attractive.
He's hotter than the Sex and the City guys, but he's yeah.
But I just love it. And I'm gonna skip if the conflict's realistic, because I don't think that applies in this movie.
Again, that's why it's not a rom-com, because there is no there's the romantic conflict between Warner and Elle, obviously, but then like the guy she ends up with, there's no conflict. They just they're great for each other. They just get along, and he supports her and she supports him, and that's it.
Isn't that just the way?
I wish.
I wish. Okay, guys, I'm really excited to hear what you guys think, because I want to know who you think you are in this movie. We love to do this, our group of friends. We love to cast ourselves. So.
Okay.
Who would like to start?
Kel, would you like to start?
Oh my God, Kel.
Where did you get your stage name?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Yeah, I would say I relate to Elle for sure. I call myself Kel because it takes from L, add a K, and you have Kel. Now that I'm not blonde, though, I feel like a little like, aw. But I was blonde for a long time. And yeah, but I would love to play her in the musical. That would be a big dream.
Oh, wow.
I would actually like murder someone to see that.
Oh my God, do it.
Somebody who deserved to be murdered anyway, don't worry.
Yes.
We're going to get into that whole conversation of if people deserve to die.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's another podcast. We'll give that to My Favorite Murder.
Yeah. Anyway, I would really like to see you playing Elle in the
That me
Broadway
too. I would love to.
Oh my god.
Yeah. You, Emma Jo?
I think like in most movies, like I feel like I'm a clear one character, but here I think I'm a little bit of a Serena and I'm a little bit of a Paulette.
Very
but not
fun.
100% either.
Yep.
Yeah.
With a dash of Bruiser.
The dash of Bruiser.
Woof, woof.
Wow.
Yeah,
I do think Paulette is what came first to mind, but I agree that it's mixed with Serena because you're more fashionable than Paulette.
Yeah. Thank you for saying
Paulette's
that.
a little, she can be a little like
She can be a little quiet and a little like down on her. Okay, you know what? I think Emma Jo's gone through a recent transformation, internally and externally, and I think it's given her a boost of confidence, and I think that is especially that little dash of Serena in there.
Oh, that's so true. Like you're like a dash of Serena mixed with Paulette after she learns the bend and snap.
Oh my god.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I think because you really have her heart. I think that's what I see.
Mhm.
Oh, that's so kind. Una, who do you think you are?
I think I'm a bit of a Vivian.
A bit of a
That's
Viv.
okay because she's not a villain.
No, she's not.
I just think I would do everything she did. I'm a jealous person, and I would do everything.
Would you invite her to a party and tell her it's a costume?
No, that's really
You
mean.
would do that.
You're not like vindictive.
No.
I'm not vindictive. I wouldn't like plan something like that. Like I wouldn't.
You don't like do outright mean things at all.
No, I wouldn't. I would never like harm somebody else.
No.
For my, but I can be sneaky, and I can be.
You're very smart, like Vivian.
Thank you.
Talk about how smart Vivian is.
You would do like the ring on the shoulder thing.
Yes,
You would
absolutely.
for
That
sure
whole
do that.
first interaction, I was like, it was like looking in a mirror.
Yeah. You might tell her she couldn't join the study club.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
So fair.
I wouldn't want to hang out with my fiance's ex-girlfriend. That's fair.
I don't think you'd actually say it though. I think you would feel it, but I don't think you'd be like, no, you can't sit down. I don't think you would do that.
I'd be like, oh, yeah, you can sit at the
You'd
end
make
of the
it
table.
clear that you did not want her to be there,
Correct.
but you wouldn't say it. You'd give her a lot of looks, and you'd be like, you might leave yourself. Maybe like, actually, we have a thing to do, Warner. It's time to go now.
Let's go, Warner.
And then you talk to
Let's
him.
go. I would also probably, in a way, say what Elle says about the hot tub. Like, in that sense, I'm Elle in that situation. Like, those sorts of moments, I feel at home with that. But I also think Vivian has a lot of great qualities, and I think she really transforms throughout the movie, and I love what Elle has to teach her, and and I think Vivian knows what she wants, and she gets it. She goes after it. She's ambitious. She wears poils.
And boy, do you wear poils.
Yeah, she knows what she wants, and she's gonna get it. And she's the protagonist of her own story, and in her own story, Elle's potentially in the way of what she wants.
Yeah.
But then she's also willing to look past that and grow. She's not stubborn to growth.
Totally.
Yeah.
And she and Elle end up okay. That is another one of my favorite moments of the movie. Is the very last scene, and then when all the writing is at the bottom explaining like what has happened in the last 3 years, and that like obviously it's wonderful that Elle and Emma get engaged, and like the fact that Elle has like a job at a law firm already, like she has offers already, like all that stuff makes me cry. That I always cry at that last scene. But I love that it's like, and she and Vivian are best friends. Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, I guess it's a little like a bit of a cliched way of tying it all together, but I'm like, fuck it, I don't care. I like cliches sometimes, and that one is just really nice. And it's not like, that's not false. Like you see them develop their relationship throughout the movie, so it's not like it comes out of nowhere.
Exactly. Oh my god, amazing.
Good movie. Oh, I think Elle is a Leo sun, Cancer moon. What?
Ma'am, she says she's a Gemini.
Yeah, but this is what I think.
Okay.
She's not a Gemini. I know she says that, but she's not. Leo sun, Cancer moon, Libra rising.
I can't disagree. I don't know enough.
Interesting.
I think you're right. I have no idea.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think that she is a Pisces. All of them.
Me and Una, no.
I'm like, no, I know.
Okay, that was actually one more
I'll
thing
let
that
you be a
I
Pisces.
wrote down Oh yeah, true. That I wrote down as being ahead of its time. Like, I mean, obviously astrology has been around for longer than we have, but it hasn't really been as like it just recently I feel like got really popular
In the way it is now, yeah, for sure.
in the way it is now. And I'm like, wow, in 2001, like she just dropped that Gemini vegetarian just like that. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think in the musical she even says we're double Geminis. Like
Fun.
younger Gemini
God.
moons too. I think she does. I may be wrong, but love that.
I
Love
see a
me.
Gemini for her though, because she's got like a duality to her of like anyway, I don't
Think what you want.
Well, baby boos. Do you think we should wrap up this episode with some final thoughts?
Should.
Yeah.
After 2 hours?
Emma Jo, if you were to summarize this movie into a color, no, because it's obvious, into a fruit,
Orange.
what fruit would that be?
Maybe a strawberry.
Ooh, I love that.
Maybe a peach.
I won't
Ooh,
explain.
I'm gonna say a cherry.
Really good. Now, Kelly, do you think this is actually a good movie?
Yes, I think this is like one of my favorite movies ever, and everyone should watch it, and no one should ever criticize it. Oh! Sorry, I wrote this down because I think it's insane. Okay, I'm really sorry. I keep interrupting, but on Rotten Tomatoes, it's only rated 70%.
What?
On IMDb, it's rated 6.3 out of 10, and on Metacritic, it's 59%.
That's actually like insane.
I know.
It's because people can't get past, and it's the lesson of the movie, which we'll talk about, but people cannot get past the blonde, the pink, the girly, the fashion, the makeup, the beauty, to look and see there's a fucking lesson to be learned here. And that is the lesson.
That's also the lesson of our whole podcast.
I'm gonna cry.
Perfect. A perfect ass
Number
first
5.
film to talk about.
It is. It really is. It's really special and perfect. And I think it's a good movie. I'm sorry, I interrupted to say a bunch of
that's really important,
ratings.
I
I wish
think.
everyone else would say what they think, please.
Duh, absolutely yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think objectively it's perfect. And I would like to give it a rating. I don't know about you guys, but I would like to give it 5 fluffy pink tissue boxes out of 5.
I would like to give it 5 bruisers wearing a tie out of 5.
I would like to give it 5. 5 last season Prada shoes out of 5.
Oh my God, amazing.
Love that.
And as our final thought on this movie, has everybody kind of thought of what your overall lesson you took from this movie? Did anyone else do that?
No, I didn't think about it, but
Well, we sort of just mentioned it.
true.
I guess so. Yeah, that's true.
In a very simplistic way, don't judge a book by its cover.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, femininity is not a weakness.
The other lesson that I really
Number
got
6.
was to believe in yourself, because she starts this journey for a man, but she ends it for herself.
Mhm.
And that is what matters the most.
I wrote down that I think maybe 3 times in the movie, Emmett tells people to have faith in people. Like he says, have a little faith. When Elle's about to take over the case for Brooke, the guy that's sitting there, we don't know who he is. Emmett basically turns to him and says, have a little faith. I think I hear him say it 3 times in the movie. It could be more, I could be wrong. But then Elle at the very end with her valedictorian speech says, have faith in yourself. And like, just together, them being together and coupling that together, having faith in others, and then most importantly, having faith in yourself. What the fuck?
Oh my God, this is such a good first movie. We
Like,
killed it.
that's so important.
Important.
It's really good.
Oh my God.
I wrote down too, like, if you ever think you can't do something, watch this fucking movie, because
Oh my God.
Elle Woods will change your mind. Whatever that thing is. Like,
Yeah.
you can fucking do it.
Yeah, you really can.
So true.
You really can.
And no one
You
really
can do
gives
it
a
your
fucking
own way.
story. Like, you really can.
You really can. It's that's a
it's
great
not-
thing to know, that it's a true story.
I know, you really can. She really did.
Wow.
Like, okay, this is crazy. This girl goes, like, randomly gets into Harvard just because she's like, but that happened. Like, it seems really, like, far-fetched, but it actually happened.
Oh, wow. I was gonna say she deserves a documentary, but she has a
Yes.
movie and a franchise, so
Yeah,
I think that's fine.
Basically, as one, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Well-
just, like, Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Just like, obviously this is obvious, but like, I think just like she is proof that you can be more than one thing. Like proof that you can be beautiful and fashionable and, you know, have knowledge about those things, and that can be really important in your life, but that doesn't have to be the only important thing about you, and like that doesn't have to be the only thing you care about, and that people are more complex than just how they appear on the surface. And she's so kind to everybody that she meets. That is her go-to, is to be kind, and it pays off. And I think just people forget the power of kindness.
100%.
And it can really take you places.
People should remind themselves about the power of kindness in these unkind days.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the end of my lessons that I wrote down.
Wow. Well, I think this has been an amazing first episode. Thank you everyone for listening, and you know, I think it went well, but obviously there's going to be like kinks to work out as it's the first episode, but like we're all so passionate about this, and I can't wait to talk about more movies. Next episode, we are going to be talking about How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yes. Another one of my faves, another iconic one.
Yep.
So good.
It's gonna be good.
So please watch it so you can be a part of the discussion. And if you would like to drop some suggestions or talk to us about this movie or future movies, where do you find us?
Yeah. Oh, you find us on ughasifpodcast on everything. And by everything, I mean Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd.
Correct. Shoot us a DM with your rating out of 5 Bruisers or last season Prada shoes or fuzzy tissue box holders for Legally Blonde. Hit us up with some movies you want to see us talk about, your thoughts in general about chick flicks. We'd love to read it.
We would love to. And please, if you have a moment, follow us on whatever you're listening to us on, and rate us and review us.
Yeah.
We can't wait to start this journey with you, y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Sounds good.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed. And we'll see you soon.
Love you.
Yeah.
Bye.
XOXO.